Yes, COMM 160. I am your teacher for section 210, Ashby Campus, room C125. Check it out. That was almost an outtake, but I don't have patience to do yet another, given my job today is to just introduce myself very briefly and let you know there is a face that goes with that classroom that won't be seen for another week. So if you're tapping into the eCentennial to just kind of figure things out, like, did we really miss class? Was it cool? Of course, because it was Labor Day and the college was closed. So we've effectively covered week one already, and we're making up for it in week two. So when you come back next Monday, we hope that you have some sense of what's going on and what's expected based on this little introduction that Yamaguchi's put into the eCentennial, which is mission control. We rely on it, particularly the homepage with the bulletin board known as the eCentennial News. There's a good chance you've been through this before, and it's not your first semester, and so your professors are constantly updating you with things in the eCentennial to let you know if something's changed or you have an upcoming assignment that's due, or you better remember to come to class for your test. Those sorts of things do pop in there, but I like to keep it light. I like to have some fun, possibly upload my favorite music video. It's no substitute for in-person, let's call it 3-hour blocks of synchronous delivery. But I like to say it's a compliment, and it will make the semester go that much faster, and so you don't feel like you've been taken prisoner and you're having to jump through ever more hoops, ever much more money. I mean, people don't sign up for English for the sake of passionate about English. I get it. But it is part of the model route, and I'm just doing my job here to help facilitate you to be on your way and get to where you want to be. And there may be some things that you find during the 14 weeks with me that are transferable, you take with you, and I hope that is the case, that you don't feel like it's a struggle. Drag your feet down the hall, but at a reasonable hour. I mean, we're meeting at 12:30, right? Is that what it says? Yeah, 12:30 every Monday. And we've already covered week one. You look closely at the evaluation schedule or the course outline, you'll see there are a couple more Mondays in which the college is closed. That means we don't have class in week 5 and again in week 7. Add to that your engagement week in like mid to late October. Dudettes, it's a decent, I think, kind of vibe. Like, you come to class, you do your thing, you go home, you don't fret about the other things that are due. There's very little in the way of take home. The COMM 160, section 210, is largely an in-person experience with pen and paper, and you show up, you do the work, you're going home guilt-free and not worrying about English until the following Monday. And that's my exchange with you, is that, you feel like I'm not misleading you in thinking you have to put in above and beyond. You do what you think's necessary. The eCentennial, in case you hadn't noticed, has a lot of drop-down tabs, and so there's a ton of asynchronous material. There's that fancy word again. Synchronous means I'm with you in real time. Asynchronous means I'm not. You're on your own, and you're doing what you like. You do what you feel is helpful. That's what the course shell is set up for, in case you want to polish up your skills, but there's no obligation because the grades are primarily in C125, just waiting for you to come get them. Right? But we don't throw it all at you at once. It's going to be spread out over 14 weeks. That includes in-person team grammar quizzes. I know everybody like cringed at the word team, but it's cool. It's cool. It's more casual than you think. The solo writing efforts, they're maybe a little bit stressful as we get down to the final weeks, right, where you have to write this preliminary essay. It's basically 3 paragraphs all put together, but they should have some thematic familiarity. In other words, they link up nicely, and it's a fluid kind of response that you're writing out longhand. But we don't do that right away. We are asking you really just to bring with you your 140 set of skills. So that would be a paragraph, or like in the case of a reading test, it would be, here are some short answer questions to complete. And once you're done, you're free to go. There are plenty of in-person activities that reward you for doing the work, but you have to commit. And yeah, trust me, it's not easy getting those makeup tests because of work obligations. You talk to me like a real person. I'm going to give you, and I'm going to reciprocate. I'm going to be able, I think, to help you find that accommodation, provided it's a reasonable request, right? Work doesn't necessarily constitute a makeup test. Life, on the other hand, these personal situations that are beyond your control, like you have a young family, someone gets sick, you've got to be with them, or you yourself have come down with something and you don't want to give it to the rest of us. We appreciate that heads up. That email is the best way to let me know. It's a written record of you taking responsibility and then having that honored by your teacher as best I can. In all due fairness to your classmates, right, who do come to class, make the commitment or sacrifice, depending on how you see it. But your job is to be in class on Mondays from 12:30 to 2:30, 2:45, 3 o'clock. We're going to see. Sometimes people finish early and they earn themselves a little more free time at the end. That's cool. Some people like to stick around to the end and talk to the teacher and avoid, going to an official office hour, because that just means setting up a separate day or remembering to come in at a different place. I can do that, but that would be up to you to communicate such necessities. But the course is something that I dig. I've been friends with Gary for a long time now. Gary is the department coordinator, so it's kind of like a famous, I think he's a famous guy. His textbook's being used at several colleges and universities across the country, and we just happen to have him as our number 2. He is not the associate dean. Nope. All the chairs have been given new titles called associate deans. But Gary's one step down. His textbook's fabulous. This thing's worth the purchase. I highly, highly recommend you go get it, because the tests come from here. Every one of them. Every one of them. Will I be able to help you out initially? Yeah. I'll make sure you've got a copy when the test comes around. You won't have to scramble at last minute, run out and do this photocopy thing. But you should know that the college doesn't require you to buy it to complete something called MindTap. So, that's a new policy. It just happened to start last year. And for the past 10, 15 years, they've had these MindTap accounts where you had these grammar modules and you had to buy the MindTap, meaning an e-subscription. You got an e-textbook, and with it came those bundled grammar quizzes worth grades. Not the case anymore, which is cool. For some people, they like that because they don't feel so financially constrained. So you can go and hustle and get yourself a used copy, all right? Because there's several out there circulating, gently used copies that are half price. And no need to get an e-subscription unless you want to, which is very convenient because then you don't have to slough this thing around with you to class. But we rely on it. We work exclusively from it. And so the Canadian Writers Workplace, this one's the 9th edition. This is your best friend. And I have an open book policy every time we do a test. So if you want to bring your textbook to class, cool. You may have notes and stuff attached to stuff, and anywhere in the textbook is accessible to you, right? So I like to think that's a little added value or incentive to actually go get it. But note that even the grammar quizzes are based on the grammar units from this textbook. So it's very textbook centric. In our course, when we meet on Mondays, there's plenty of opportunity here to do well in the course. The people that do well basically remember to show up and take care of a minimum amount of take-home assignment that is reflective of how much 5 to 10% of your grade. It's not a big deal. So what I'm saying is that I love it when people realize that it's what you do in class, C125, every Monday. And when you're coming to class and you're doing the work, I mean, what do you need? Is it a 50%? Is it a 60%? You have to check with your program coordinator to make sure, you've got your minimum passing threshold met. But I think you're all adults and you know how to gauge this. We see much better returns from people who to make an effort. And sometimes that means accessing the English Tutoring Center in the library, right? L206, I think it is. Great people. They know this material inside out. So if you're struggling, you might be repeating 160 with me. Checking in with the tutors now and then, who are free, never hurts either. So I love this course. I am passionate about it. I think the people that take it are great. And trust me, no two classrooms are the same. We've got so many different programs passing through. It's like everybody's got to do the 160. But your desire to do well in the course has a proportional effect on your overall grade, right? So I can just share that little bit of knowledge. The sage on the stage says, the people that look for things that they can personalize, here's a situation, what does that mean to you? Is the basic premise of this course. Nothing more complicated. Nobody expects you to be subject matter expert. No need to research the issues that are in this book because they're varied. And we all know that we're in this course for different reasons, right? So I would just please comfort yourselves with the knowledge that it's how you interact with the content that's presented. Now, maybe you don't have the ultimate choice as what to read and what not to read. The content is kind of pre-programmed, right? But the way in which you are asked to produce a response is very familiar to your own experiences and observations. So at the end of the day, it's like a reflection exercise, like almost every time. And it's through that type of response that we start to make your writing stronger and share with you a method that really tightens things and helps you set up an argument and get the respect of your audience. Not me. Oh, well, sure. I mean, I'm the grade keeper, but we're talking about enabling you in your careers, right? So impressing the boss of your future employer. This is a COMM course, stands for communications, right? So it's not really an English literature course, is it? And so by communications, we mean make the student feel more at ease in negotiating for better terms, having a really meaningful but satisfying career. And through language, you're able to articulate this. This is the transferable skill I'm talking about when it comes to doing well in your communication studies at Centennial. So COMM 160 now, COMM 170 in the winter. Let's take it one step at a time. I'm looking forward to meeting you. The following week, week 2, will be our official get-together. But, week 1 is your chance to go hustle, get this. Come back to class C125. See what it's like to exchange with the teacher, but also your classmates. Because, I think that's what ultimately makes the difference between doing stuff remotely, as in a DLO, right? Distance learning online, versus in person, is that you make much more meaningful connections with people when it's real world, in real life. Ciao for now.